Bonjour à tous. Hi, everyone. I am Tracy Folkes Hanson et je suis la présidente et chef de la direction de la CSAE. I am joining this session from Brooklyn, Ontario, where I acknowledge the lands and people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. This is the traditional territory of the Mississauga, a branch of the Anishinaabe Nation, including Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. As a settler, I am grateful to be welcomed on these lands in friendship. Today, as we meet in this virtual environment, thank you for joining us. I encourage you to take a moment to consider that the technology and the structure that we're using together isn't readily available in many Indigenous communities. I invite you to join in acknowledging this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time together, and for each of us to consider our own roles in truth and reconciliation. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or any number of letters that you put together seem to be on everyone's radar, and CSAE is no exception. We've done some good things in the past few years, but we all want to do better. We just don't necessarily know where to begin. So I am pleased to share that DEI is a focused priority under CSAE's strategic plan. And we are very excited to have begun this work in collaboration with Shafana Mita at Accolage Consulting. Now we're taking a 3-phase process, which will involve stakeholder input, the articulation of a clear vision and mission for DEI specific to CSAE. Probably most importantly, the development of a measurable action plan, and a keyword measurable action plan that will guide and evaluate our steps forward. We are really fortunate. I consider myself to be very fortunate to have the resounding support of CSAE's board of directors in this commitment to building a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive organization. They will be setting goals for themselves that will also serve as a case study for organizations who want to move forward in this important work. So, welcome to Talk Tuesday on a Wednesday in a much bigger setting. So I have to lay some ground rules, if you will, for our regulars. So Pat and Lynn, Sangeeta, Kevin, unlike a Talk Tuesday, this is in fact a town hall. And it is an opportunity for me to share the highs and lows of CSAE. I'm also looking forward to addressing your questions or calling on someone from out there in the remote world who might be more equipped to answer. And I'm not speaking specifically of the CSAE team. Some of you will have better answers than me because let's face it, we all do the same job. Emma took you through how questions will work, so we'll make sure that we try to get everything answered today. And now for those of you who are shaking your head and wondering what Talk Tuesday is, well, you'll have to wait and join us in September when we resume our monthly, very informal, always informative, always supportive video chats. For today, the plan is to share information, address your questions, and have a bit of a conversation. So several of you, thank you very much, took the time to submit some very thought-provoking questions in advance, and I'm going to do my best to answer them as I go through some of the conversation topics. But I'll also pause, as Emma said, to see if you have additional comments or questions, and we'll make sure that we have time at the end as well, so please don't be shy. Pendant que je prends des cours de français, mais je suis encore débutante. Donc, la plupart de mes réponses en anglais. So please forgive me. When we look at the past year, and even when we started planning for the year ahead at CSAE, we are still fairly measured in our approach. In fairness, the pandemic is still not quite behind us, although things are looking so great. So planning when it comes to the future still comes with its fair share of guesswork, of sort of hunches, assumptions. There is still no crystal ball here. I'm really hoping, Angela Jeffries, that this is the last time I say that, but no matter how many times you ask me, still don't have one. We are, however, finally back to in-person events, which started in March with an in-person CEO Symposium that was very well attended, followed by a sold-out tete-a-tete. Thanks to the OG Network for all of your commitment to making this traditional event happen. As wonderful as it has been to stay connected through virtual offerings, there is nothing quite like getting together physically in the same space, either smiling behind masks or, as we move forward, smiling without masks. Last week, I was really fortunate to attend Saskatchewan's first ever meet and greet. You may recall the network was formed during, and now I consider in spite of, the pandemic. That's how residual CSAE members are. The Summer Summit is just around the corner at Deerhurst in Huntsville in literally 4 weeks. We start 4 weeks today. And for those of you who are wondering what return looks like, we have more than one at last count, which was early this morning. We had more than 100 or 210 registered for the event, and our cap is 250. So if you're planning on joining, you might want to register very soon, as it's sure to sell out. And I won't be offended if you want to multitask and put me on mute while you go and register right now. That's totally okay. I don't want you to miss out. And of course, naturally, we are very excited about CSAE's annual conference in October in Halifax, where we finally get to have some fun. The folks there have been waiting for a long time to welcome the CSAE community. Aptly named Reunite, it is going to be a true celebration, a time to recharge, rejoice, reconnect, and rediscover the energy and camaraderie that is CSAE. And you'll recognize some very familiar conference elements, but our education committee, our partners, and our exhibitors are also looking forward to surprising you. There will indeed, for those of you who are curious, be a virtual component. The crew is currently developing that, so watch for information on that. Registration is currently open, and it is tracking very well according to our historical numbers. And in the coming weeks, we'll be sharing more details of the program. And did I mention the big 60th birthday bash for me? I mean CSAE, or maybe all things that were born in 1962. If you think that our conference parties have been fun in the past, well, just wait for this one. I really, truly, sincerely cannot wait to be with you there on the ground in Halifax. So CSAE's focus has remained steadfast on providing value to members, informed by research and data collected from you. And I'm sure you're sick of us asking the questions, but we are so grateful that you answer them. Your voice has helped lay the foundation for our strategic plan that launched in October and is now in full swing. The strategic plan, guided with the help of Meredith Lowe, is focused on 3 strategic priorities that will ensure that the immediate and evolving needs of you, of CSAE members, are served effectively and flexibly. And it means CSAE will build a resilient, relevant, and welcoming hub for the association sector into the future. So one of the questions that I received in advance of this town hall was, what is the future, or what's our vision for the future, and how do we get there? So simply put, our vision is for CSAE to be the recognized leader and champion for associations in Canada. And for those of you who've been around for a long time, that's a place that we've held in the sector for a while. Whether government, media, association leaders, emerging professionals are looking for information, knowledge, or support, they know to come to CSAE for reliable, credible knowledge and information. We're a center of excellence. That's our future, where you all connect, where you get to collaborate, share, and learn from and with each other. And we'll lead the way, we'll continue to do so, while also listening and continuing to improve and adapt to member needs, external circumstances, hopefully not disruption like we've seen in the last couple of years, and also accept and adapt to new knowledge and understandings. We are an inclusive, diverse, and equitable association, which functions effectively and efficiently on behalf of members and the association community as a whole. Our strategic plan articulates the roadmap of how we're going to get there, and I've mentioned that it's well underway. And you can find more information about the strat plan on the About page on the CSAE website. So starting with strategic priority number 1, although I could make an argument that they're in no chronological order. But first, to be the champion for associations in Canada, we've got some work to do. And over the coming year, we're going to rely on research and data to support the decisions that we're making that direct and determine strategies for growth and expansion. And I know as association leaders, that's on top of everybody's mind. How do we recover from the pandemic and how we grow into the future? We want to ensure value and relevance for our membership. So We just completed, and we'll share details of the analysis with you, a full sector analysis, a research initiative that provides a bird's eye view, an understanding of the sector as a whole, not what our members need. We already have that information from you, but what does the sector look like? How big is it? How many associations are there? How big are they? Where are they? Where do they want to be? We did this so that we could grasp a more deeper understanding of the current landscape, because as we emerge from the last few years, old assumptions might no longer apply. And we need to have a really current picture of things in order for us to grow. So with that information, CSAE will make informed decisions on how to best support membership as a whole and the association sector more broadly. If we have a better understanding of what the sector is like, then the better we'll be able to support. We're going to continuing along the lines of being a champion. We're going to continue to build the advocacy portfolio that we really started in 2020, weighing in on important issues. So in the last year, we have submitted our review. We've reviewed and submitted our recommendations to CNCA regarding changes to the Act. We've asked for the director and the committee to look at modernizing the Act, making it more user-friendly and more flexible for nonprofit associations. We've also weighed in on 2 consultations regarding the Lobbying Act, even though they're not really open consultations yet. It's just the commissioner is starting to look at how that act can be updated. And we've had a few wins on that, and we're about to release a notice to all of you. We have provided submissions to pre-budget and budget consultations, trying to shore up specific funding for not-for-profit organizations and associations. And we've leveraged the collective voice of the sector to move the needle on important issues like DEI, truth and reconciliation, and sustainability. We want to ensure that we are communicating and that we're transferring knowledge in the ways that are most meaningful for you. So we've just completed a communications assessment. And here I have to give a shout out and a nod to the Communications Advisory Group for your work on that, and also supported by the communications audit that was recently done by Anamorphic. Time and energy is going to be spent on the CSAE brand. As the champion and hub for the association sector, it's critical that we ensure that our brand is clear, strong, and that it resonates. And while we know right now it is not always top of mind, except for all of you, as we manage operations and focus on member needs, our brand strength is really essential to our mission and our strategic priorities. So we are just at the beginning of this process, and we'll keep you updated as things unfold. So that's all under the banner of how we become the champion. There were some questions in there, and I addressed them, I think, fairly head on. But if not, I'm going to take a pause here to see if you've got any questions.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Penny.
We did get a question in the QA section of the chat.
Great.
And it's regarding, it's pertaining to the DEI initiative broadly. And the question is this: how is CSAE supporting its members to include Indigenous governance in association governance?
Wow, that's a great question. And I'm going to take a pause on it and say that I'll know more once we get further into the strategic plan for DEI. It is something that has been a topic of conversation, and it really led us to wanting to build a strategy for CSAE. And so while that doesn't directly answer your question, if you will allow me, I will take that question back into my consult with our consultant, which is actually happening tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So, and I'll come back out with some information around that when we come out with the DEI strategy, if that's fair. If not, send me an email at tracy@csae.com and we can have a further conversation about it. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to keep motoring on. So heading into our second strategic priority, which is be the center of excellence for the Canadian association sector. So what does that mean and how are we going to do it? We are going to do this through ongoing improvements to what programs we deliver, what programs we build, and how we actually deliver them, how we actually transfer that knowledge to association leaders. So a recent example would be the introduction of the CPD requirement to raise the professional value and credibility of the CAE designation. So if you need any more information, I know that this was announced earlier this year. We've communicated it, and there's been a webinar, some information exchange. All of the details can be found on CSAE.com/CAE. If you're looking for how many hours, what's eligible, how long you have to do it, you can look there. Again, CSAE.com/CAE. Or ask Danielle Russell, who already is up to about 150 hours and counting. So I'm sure, Danielle, you'll be happy to help folks along. The CAE program continues to be a cornerstone for association professionals at CSAE and for the sector. So we've had roughly 900 professionals receive their designation since its inception, and we currently have about 500 active CAEs. And just earlier this week, we notified our latest cohort, adding 9 outstanding, hardworking professionals, notifying them that they passed their final exams and they are now officially newly minted CAEs. So congratulations to all of you. I look forward to celebrating your graduation later this year. We continue to work hard to enrich our members through CSAE as a hub for connecting, like a forum like this where you can chat with each other afterwards, or learning amongst association professionals, from tete-a-tete to CEO leadership series to conferences and symposia, as well as regional network events that are resuming in person and online. The Education Committee continues to develop a roster of both virtual and in-person offerings that will meet your needs and your interests, no matter where you are across the country. And as informed by last year's member needs assessment, so that's when we came out and asked you and did the needs assessment, we're taking that information that you gave us in hand, as well as the research or the sector research that I mentioned earlier. So our network councils have also been really hard at work organizing some upcoming events, largely virtually for now, with in-person resuming in the fall. But watch for a virtual session on diversity and inclusion through the OG Network, who are also working on a collaboration with Quebec for another offering, which is very exciting. Financial health is being discussed in Manitoba, and a CEO roundtable exploring talent retention is being hosted by the BC Network. So I encourage you to consider all of these regardless of your location, because they're all offered online. And we continue to develop a curated and up-to-date resource library to ensure that our members have the best resources and templates available for your success. And we encourage you to provide some of your resources to that as well, in terms of policies or governance models or bylaws or financial plans or annual business plans. All of that is there to provide the resources for all of us to be successful in our roles as association leaders. Now, there were a couple of questions in this particular segment. One, maybe the easiest one is, when is tete-a-tete in 2023? So since you're all ready to put it in your calendar, I'm happy to announce that tete-a-tete will return to the winter in 2023 and will likely be held in February. Now, some people really enjoyed having it in April in 2022. There was no snowstorms. It was fantastic. So we did give careful consideration to switching it to the springtime from our traditional winter timing. The overwhelming feedback from our partners, our exhibitors, and our sponsors, who enabled a sold out showcase this year, was that April is much too busy for association events, and that makes it a real challenge for planners to attend. So we are returning to February, when most planners still have their heads above water. We'll share the exact date with you soon so that you can mark your calendars. There was another related question under Center of Excellence for Associations in Canada. And the question is simply, what supports and resources are recommended to someone who is new in their ED role? I love this question. I love this question because it connects directly with our mission. We are here for you, whether you're new in your role or you're an established leader and want to stay current and connected. That's the sales pitch. But truly, the competencies for association executives are the best starting point for new association leaders. These give you a great perspective for all of the various aspects of the role and allow you to pick some priorities that you want to focus on. You'll find the competencies on the website. And of course, CAE 100 is a great orientation to the role as association leader and a great way to connect with others. And there's more. I'm starting to feel like an infomercial. You can bring your questions to Associations Connect and discover how your peers from across the country would solve your specific challenges. There are so many incredible and collaborative conversations on this community, which is your community and my community. And I encourage you all, if you haven't explored it, to take a look, even if you just want to look at the conversations and you don't have anything to add or you don't have anything to solve at the moment. There's a lot of information there. I encourage you to take a look. It really is the association sector's virtual meeting place for challenges, solutions, just straight up great conversations. So I commend that to you. Additionally, conference or the summer summit are great events to expand your network and enjoy a variety of aspects of association management. You can also access our free virtual events across the country. As I mentioned, just check out the events calendar and hop on. You are welcome. Doesn't matter where you are in the country. That's the beauty of being a national organization. In-person events hosted by our networks, I mentioned, are back this fall. So be sure to check out the events page for learning opportunities that are coming your way very soon. And lastly, since governance guidance is key for a new ED, I suggest the Governance Forum or the CEO, the Symposium rather, for Chief Staff and Chief Elected Officers. There's a governance forum with Dr. David Weiss taking place in October in Halifax, just prior to conference. Same thing as last year, one price for you and your full board. And we are currently scheduling the CEO Symposium for early next winter. This is something that the board chair of CSAE and the incoming chair attends every year. I highly recommend it. Et aussi explorer une option en français. And Danielle's now going to kill me. But we are looking at that option, so stay tuned for more. You can also check out the many excellent resources in the bookstore. So there's so much on offer to help you orient to your new role, and so many people in this community and network that will be willing to support, mentor, and watch you succeed. With that, I'm going to take a brief pause and see if there are any questions under that particular segment.
Hi, Tracy. There are a couple of questions in the chat for
Great.
you. One is asking with respect to reciprocal recognition of the CA designation between ASAE and CSAE, and if there was any updates from the board or committee on that recognition.
Okay, well, hang with me because you said that there were a couple of questions, so I'll do my best to answer this. I am actually going and attending a global forum hosted by CSAE in August. I've been part of a global forum with other SAEs around the world over the last couple of years, and we have talked collaboration on a variety of different things. And I suspect this question has come up from the ASAE side, and it's now here on the CSAE side. So we will get more information on that for you. The programs, while reminiscent of each other, are vastly different in the approach. And we just need to make sure that we are protecting the integrity of the CSAE CAE going forward.
Thank you. The next question is with respect to, I think, the networks. and CSAE as a whole, because the question is there a group for national associations instead of the provincial territorial chapters?
So this one, I love this question. And whoever asked it, please send me an email because I'm going to borrow you, not bore you, borrow you, and the way you think. One of the great things that came out of the strategic assessment research that Meredith did on our behalf to help build the strat plan, and also things that bubbled up in the needs assessment, and we're seeing it somewhat a little reminiscent in the new sector analysis, is a need for association. It means by definition is people coming together around a common purpose. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a common geography, and it doesn't need to be pinned to traditional strongholds or constructs of a network has to be geographical. There could be virtual networks like our young professional network. There could be networks of common interest groups or communities of interest and spirit. And that is, in fact, in our plan. It's part of the strategic plan as we go forward. And it is the plan to develop some of those. And we've started with a pilot with the Young Professional Network, which is not geographical, but it is definitely of folks that are developing their career in a way, and they wanted to form a network around doing so. I hope that answers the question. And if you're interested in helping develop a community of interest or a network of interest, that's why I'd like to talk to you.
Just one more question, and it was just clarifying where the resource library that you mentioned is.
I think, Penny, you can answer that question better than I can. So
absolutely. So the resources that Tracy mentioned, the tools and templates, can be found on Associations Connect. And you will find, you can search or you can browse. So there's some great resources there shared from across our membership. So check it out. And that's all the questions that I've got in the chat.
Thanks, Penny. And just for the record, I did know that they were on Associations Connect. I just thought because she was there, it might be nice to hear from somebody else other than me. CSAE has always been known as a model for continuous improvement. We have, over the last few years, always looked to building best practices and adopting promising practices, and then sharing those learnings with all of you. We are also, as a model, raising our game and engaging employees in a virtual environment. And I know this is a very common topic because it was the topic of our fireside chat in Saskatchewan last Wednesday. CSAE, as you likely know, shifted to officially to virtual operations in early 2021. So like many associations and organizations, our days over the last couple of years have looked quite different than they did a few years ago or pre-pandemic life. In a lot of cases, we've swapped out our daily commutes for a morning yoga class, or maybe just yoga pants, Krista Cameron and I on video in our pajamas, with an extra cup of coffee before you jump on a Zoom call, whatever your day looks like. There have been many, many shifts in the workplace. Marion Tripp is likely shaking her head or nodding her head yes. And a lot of these shifts have really been sparked or accelerated by the pandemic. So new work environments have been created, new ways to build and retain teams, new opportunities to foster healthy and productive cultures. So based on questions that I've received, not only in advance of the town hall, but that have been posed to me related to HR challenges and labor shortages, has really taken a particularly close look at health and well-being of our team, particularly as we adjusted to a remote environment as we emerged through a pandemic. What does it look like and what does it mean for the long term? This has really meant for us scheduling, being intentional about it and scheduling opportunities to see each other virtually 3 times a week. We actually use this platform, the Remo platform, and we set it up as the CSAE Cafe, and everybody works at their own table. And then, as you know, you can pop around and drop by someone's office if you need to ask them a quick question. It's worked really well for us. We've also recently created a wellness committee and have created an allowance to support each, a wellness specific allowance to support each team member. We've been really intentional about striking a balance to manage the pressures of life with work requirements, as well as developing policies to support shared understanding of opportunities and expectations. Both during and coming out of the pandemic, CSAE, you may have also, we experienced a bit of turnover on the team for the first time in several years. Departing employees opted to try some new things, and it's pretty hard to compete with moving overseas to Europe or to starting your own business. So what it meant was really we had to examine our own recruitment strategies and think about what it means to grow as an employer of choice. So having an inclusive and open culture that supports curiosity and opportunity, having competitive compensation, it doesn't have to, it's just got to be a thorough, full, robust package. It's not all about one line in that package. And then also having the flexibility as an organization to recognize that when you're working in a virtual operation or in a virtual world, your day may not be the same as my day. And so, putting it out there that nobody should feel obligated to respond when I send out emails, but rather respond when the time is right for you to send out and or respond. So we've kept all of that in mind as we focus on the future. We focus on current and best practices when it comes to policies for our people. And I'm really pleased to announce that we just recently introduced a more inclusive policy regarding statutory holidays, where our team members can actually swap out 5 stat holidays. We chose Good Friday, Easter Monday, Victoria Day, Canada Day, and the civic holiday. And they can be changed for any day of personal significance and meaning. So we've really leaned into supporting our team from a distance in that way, and then bringing them together when we can. We have been really fortunate to be able to continue to attract team members and have recently welcomed some tremendous new talent. So even as recent as this morning. So welcome, Lexi, to the team, and to our intern, Olivia. I hope that you're here, and I hope you enjoy your summer with us. Virtual onboarding hasn't posed any challenges, likely because we've leveraged some expertise through HR organizations like the Talent Company. We've simply really been thoughtful about scheduling online transitions for incoming employees. And it's a continued area. It will always be evolving and getting better. And so we have to continue to consider improvements consistently. And I also think that it will be our policies and our processes will be enhanced by the DEI strategy that I mentioned at the top. Someone did ask in advance questions what our org structure is like. To be honest, our structure looks more like a Venn diagram than a traditional hierarchical org chart. So I favor a more fluid approach that supports collaboration, curiosity, and cross-training and group work, so that we really truly are ambassadors for CSAE, while presenting opportunities for team members to learn and to grow. Also under the banner of continuous improvement is continued exploration and experimentation with technology and innovation for program and delivery. I've already shared plans on the DEI strategy and our plans to use data-driven decisions to develop retention and recruitment strategies. Leveraging all of the data that you have given us and that the sector analysis gives us. So as association leaders, we are curious, we're anxious. I lose sleep over, and if you don't, I'd like to know what your secret is about growth, and more reasonably, how we grow from the scenario of the last 2 years, which have challenged all of us in so many ways. Fortunately, CSAE's membership remained fairly stable, and we were able to support and help our members through the last few years. We're very much looking forward to seeing growth in our composition as the value of being part of CSAE increases for all members based on the data, based on segmentation strategies, and the advancement of our strategic plan. There was an initial decline in business membership, which went hand in hand with the interruption of in-person activities largely due to the pandemic and the unfortunate subsequent job loss in the events industry. But we are hopeful and expect to see a rebound in this as we grow both in-person programming and other opportunities of value to our business members and suppliers. It is interesting to note that the counterbalance, while business membership declined, sponsorship and partnership support increased. So we all hung tight together, and for that I am particularly grateful. Business members, this is a question all the time, but business members are an important part of the ecosystem in which associations operate. We cannot, and I'm speaking as an association leader, we cannot do it without you. Business members play an important role, whether it's expertise in communications from someone like Jackie, Dion, or strategy from Meredith, or governance expertise from Heather Terrence, thanks for the call last week, IT solutions or technology or event planning, or better yet, contractual advice for event planning. Heather Reed, I suspect you are going to be very busy as in-person resumes. We are all connected and together in this ecosystem of supporting associations and the sector. So I want to thank those of you who provided your input into the business-focused member needs assessment earlier this year. That was conducted in collaboration with Bram Research. Thank you, Gerald, for doing both sides of the equation from a needs assessment perspective. It is very clear to us that the connections and the engagements of in-person events are incredibly important to our business members, to you. And so CSAE will continue to create opportunities to connect, as well as looking at creating a marketplace for business members and association professionals to intersect, to build connection, and ultimately, let's be honest, build business. That's not a dirty word. We're all in it for future success. So more on that as we continue to grow. There is a related question in this particular segment. The question is CSAE considering any changes to the membership model? And if so, can you provide any details? I can tell you that nope, that's the simplest answer. There are no plans to alter the current membership structure. We have two classes of membership, executive and business. And forgive me, because often I interchange executive with association. Our continued research and the input from our members, both executive members and business members, will provide the data and insights that are integral to being member-driven and a well-run organization. So as my mother would say, if it isn't broken, I'll just leave it at that. I talked a little bit earlier about the Young Professional Network. So there was another question about that's the next generation. So what plans do we have to make CSAE more accessible to young professionals? If any of you have a crystal ball on how you engage the next generation, please let me know. But one of our secret weapons is Lindsay Murray. So I am so grateful for the variety of opportunities that we have for young professionals to have a voice at the CSAE table. Volunteer opportunities are open to all of our members. And I mentioned the virtual network of the young professionals, which is a group that's really leading the charge to provide programming that's relevant to the needs of emerging professionals. Our education team and the network councils as well really aim to provide a wide range of offerings, many of them free of charge, to ensure both member value and to increase opportunities. So we encourage the next generation to keep an eye on our events calendars and our e-news. CSAE also, as you all know, offers an array of tools, resources, and thought leadership through many channels, including Associations Connect and the CSAE blog to support learning and leadership growth. And we do have a student affiliate fee. So for those who are still in school, they can be part of CSAE for $25 for an annual fee of $25. And here's the great thing about our DEI assessment process. I suspect that it will help us further identify and address barriers and determine ways in which we can become much more inclusive and accessible in all ways. The next related question is, how's the job market for association staff? So in terms of the job market for association staff, our job board, the association's jobs.ca, has been very lively over the past year. So anecdotally, this is not based on anything other than me taking a look at the boards and the team taking a look at the boards to see how active they are. There appears to be ample opportunities for all levels in the market. So if you're an emerging leader or if you're an association executive, there seem to be ample opportunities. I also receive a regular number of calls from recruiters on fairly widespread searches. So if you're in the market and you want me to keep a lookout, let me know. I'm happy to keep an eye out for things. And by the way, for those of you board members, CSAE board members who are on this call, I only accept the recruiter calls so that I can pass them along to other members. So skate through that one. Those were the questions under the banner of continuous improvement. So I'm just, if you'll indulge me for just a little bit more, I do want to say that the success of CSAE's strategic plan really rests with you, with our members. All of the activity, the initiatives, and the conversation is firmly rooted in providing value to empower association leaders to transform the world. That is CSAE's vision. I have been asked how members can support CSAE as well as the strategic plan specifically. So I appreciate this question because it really reflects that CSAE's success is your success. This is your association. We exist, after all, to advance association excellence. You already support CSAE in so many ways, but lending your voice to calls for action on the advocacy front has been invaluable. Providing your input when we're asking for feedback, and like I said, I know that we've asked a lot, whether on large-scale research projects or just on event satisfaction, it's all relevant and meaningful and all taken into consideration when we build for the go forward. And of course, volunteering is an incredibly valuable way you support CSAE, and many of you do it in many, many different ways. Right now, we have a call open to fill upcoming opportunities on our board of directors, as well as on board standing committees that drive our strategy. In the fall, there will be additional volunteer openings that will be available on various network councils and working groups. And in your busy work and your personal lives, giving of your time and talents to CSAE as a volunteer is just an incomparable gift. And I am truly, truly grateful for all you do for CSAE. I'm going to not sign off. I'm going to open the floor to any other questions. I would like to thank you all for your time today. I'm happy to answer questions in this forum or chat at a table, or feel free to send me an email at Tracy, Tracy, at, our Tracy's are really particular about the E, Tracy at CSAE.com, or just give me a call. Penny, I'm going to hand it over to you to see if there are any further questions for today.
There's nothing in the chat right now. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to either raise your hand or you can put it in the QA.
Okay, well, seeing none, I think we're open for a little bit, aren't we? So that we can do a little bit of networking and boot, scoot, and boogieing for all of you country fans out there to get around some tables. I'll join you. If you got a question, come on by, or feel free to send me a note. On behalf of the team, on behalf of CSAE, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Your time is valuable and you chose to give it to us. And I couldn't be more thankful. So it is a pleasure to work with you and for you on behalf of your organization. See you soon.